Hello everyone and welcome. In this recording, I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming full moon in the sign of Taurus on the 15th of November 2024. This is quite a powerful full moon because on one hand, it is a super full moon, which means that the moon is that much more closer to the earth, so its effect and its pull, both physically and also symbolically, is that much more amped. And at the same time, alchemically slash esoterically speaking, well, the moon loves being in the sign of Taurus, so it is rather powerful. If this wasn't enough, it's very, very electric and electrifying and shocking and intense, and it can be full of surprise. It can be a big awareness moment. It can also be a massive eureka moment, but it's very, very intense because it's hand in hand. It is conjunct Uranus very tightly. So yeah. Even so, the moon loves being in the sign of Taurus. However, the energies with Uranus are more destabilizing than the opposite. Hence the surprise, hence the awareness. Hence, one moment is one type of reality, and the next moment may be a totally other, because from all of the signs of the zodiac, maybe Taurus is the more, how should I say, stable one, which really, really grips onto the very last moment to stability. Fixity, but fixity has a certain kind of function and role. It is meant to be like that. So what I'm saying is this might be a moment when exactly the stability, the fixity, or something that has been pretty much solid, not susceptible to all that much change and dynamic and adaptation in our lives, regardless of if it's a physical energy, like very likely earth energy, earth sign, or the state of something physical. I'm really sorry, I have a really bad flu or COVID or something. Um, Material, for example, money, finances, how stable it is, your relation to it. But it can be, of course, anything else. Imagine Taurus as 12th house energy, where, yes, it is fixed, but it is still the domain of the unknown, unseen, the unconscious, the inner. So it can only have that much fixity, if you know what I mean. But long story short, it really doesn't matter the nature of the area of life. It can still be an energy where change dawns on us suddenly, unexpectedly, or a certain kind of truth is being revealed, or we have to simply adapt ourselves. And you might think, well, Taurus doesn't really adapt all. Yes, but there are other energies in the sky which does help this Taurian expression ultimately be able to adapt. So, it's not really like a wrecking ball. It is where, if it is a wrecking ball, then there is a plan and a reconstruction project that follows it. So it's not as, I don't want to use this word because I don't, but destructive. It's not as destructive as it could be or may seem or may sound. But with Uranus, whatever we think it might be, chances are it's not that. It's random. It's chaos, basically. But one thing is for certain, full moon, right? Emotions are gonna be very, very high, regardless in which context. And the other thing, well, these emotions, the ruler of the full moon, Venus, at that moment, and I'm gonna begin with the technicality, but I find this so very important, and I do believe this is the message here. So Venus, the ruler of the full moon, is in fellow Earth sign Capricorn at this moment, uh, which is pretty okay. And Venus herself holds a pretty tightish quincunx with Mars, but other than that, she doesn't converse in any big kind of conversation with anything apart from the North Node, the nodes of the moon, better said, because it's both South and North Node, in a square, so T square, pointing to Venus. However, the Venus's T square with the nodes, how should I say? I don't want to minimalize it because it's definitely very important, but we're used to it. Or I don't even know how to express this in a Mars not all that long ago, a few weeks, a month, something like that ago, maybe more. Sorry, I don't have the exact date, but it's not, the date isn't really important here. Very not so long ago squared the nodes of the moon. Mars rules the North Node sign, so Aries, where Venus rules this time the South Node sign, Libra. So we are kind of used to this energy, where, in a nutshell, really, in Venus's case, North Node in the sign of Aries, that which we must do, that which we must initiate, that which we must get through, sometimes Aries survival energy, the ram, right? In order to be on our journeys, make progress, the path forward, Aries, right? Creativity or our sovereignty or our rights or our survival, something about us and very important. So, Venus, is it worth it? Or how much energy, time, resources, diplomacy, even, why not? South Node in Libra, right? How much, sorry, compromise, how much, uh, uh, I do believe that the best word here is result of evaluation, because Libra is the evaluation. My time, my resources on one side of the scale, and on the other one, the sorry, the goal, the bullseye, the target. Will it be worth it? This is a very Venusian matter after all, because in so very many things in life, well, actually, Venus is the one who gives the last verdict, and not the ones we may think. For example, Saturn may very well give a verdict. Saturn, our duty, responsibility for the sake of stability, or Jupiter, in the name of, for the principle of, for the sheer faith of, that can be Jupiter, sometimes Mars. Mars, how should I even, sheer survival, for example. You have no choice because the situation triggers the survival, and or I want, my obsession, my passion, my, and sometimes Mercury, the logical, the right thing to do, right? But those are much more rare than we might think, because most times is actually Venus. The love of it, the mood, the worth of it, right? Many times it's actually Venus disguised as another above mentioned, element of the self which can determine the value of something. But most times it's actually Venus. So what I want to say with this, it's really about how the worth of something. This full moon, it dawns on us. And sometimes, because this is Taurus, Scorpio axis, Taurus might be seen as the cold hard truth as things are in a nutshell, right? Well, Scorpio is the details, the nitty gritty. Why? How did it get to it? And what do I do with it? So the complex part of the same thing, after all. So where I'm going with this is where we get an understanding. We're not just faced with something, we're faced with something, a truth, an awareness, something Venusian, right? A value, worth it for me. Do I love it? Is it working in my life? Because this is Capricorn Venus, but I'll get to that in a second. So is it worth it or is it not? Because this might reveal to us that something, if we, let's say, continue our modus operandi, is not gonna work ever. So maybe the truth in this is to shift our gear. And how? Venus in Capricorn, this is how mastery, if we do not possess, if we do not possess the knowledge, the mastery, something, no problem. It is out there somewhere. Maybe a professional, another person with experience, mastery, of course. Sorry. It can be self-learning, a course, a book, a material available out there, if not a professional, or Capricorn, inventivity, ingenuity. It can be done. However, sometimes that requires for us to change our modus operandi. And if that is the truth that dawns on us, do something differently or choose a different value system. Or this is how the situation is. It can only change if you change your whatever, you know? This is a very Uranian full moon because it dispels false expectations, or it dispels a certain potential and possibility that no, that door is closed, it's not going to be like that. But that truth, that awareness, that information gives you the power in order to choose differently, do differently, accomplish the goal in a different way. Venus in Capricorn, the practicality of it. Now, of course, there is a strong rebellious element to this. Rebellious, why? Well, on one hand, Uranus is the planet of revolution, rebellion, upside down, reverse, sudden shift of polarities. Sorry. And they, meaning the moon and Uranus together, hold a semi-sextile with planetoid Aries, goddess of rebellion, of chaos, in the sign of Aries. So very, very rebellious energy. However, the semi-sextile may also require the full extent of the rebellion to be contained. And as I said, the modus operandi. Sometimes we can't react as we want to whatever is revealed by the full moon or whatever comes to completion. Sometimes the Venus in it is patience. Patience, the time will come to, and this can be in financial situation, worth, value, self-worth, attraction, physical body, sexuality, sensuality, because all of those are in a certain way part of Taurus. Maybe not sexuality, Taurus, Scorpio axis. So this can be again, a worth type of energy, how attractive I am, or something with sensuality and the five senses. But this can be profoundly psychological. Again, Scorpio sun illuminates this. The unconscious, the everything that we swept under the carpet, everything that we refueled, and so on. You get what I mean. That can suddenly burst out, that can reveal itself. Secrets can come out. And this is where the darkest secrets, I'm so sorry to say, but since this is a full moon, right? It means that the sun is all not just opposing the moon, but also Uranus. And an hour or a few hours after the full moon, the sun will perfect its opposition to Uranus. So that in itself, even without the moon, is surprise, surprise, big shocks, big truth, revelations. So let's get to the collective expression a little bit. Secret, Scorpio, skeletons in the closet, the hard to see truth. And there is so much horror to behold, and it's not even hidden. Scorpio is death, doom, destruction, besides so many other, the lower expression, and the sun is illuminating it, so we see it. We see it so much so that it disturbs our souls greatly, moon conjunct Uranus. So, and sexual scandals, and there's gonna be a lot. And if I'm not mistaken, this full moon, this lunation does trigger something in the US chart as well. I forgot what, so this flu or whatever it is also affecting my brain as it seems, but it's not even important. Digging deep into elections and what happened and how the scorpionic expression of this energy and value, money, the financial system, Venus ruling it, right? This matters a lot because the conflict in the Middle East and the conflict in Europe is also a financial one. So things are going down there. And Uranus, well, Uranus is also the next new currencies, new agreements, new treaties, new commerce, a lot of new as well. But this is the shocking new where not only is it a project or is it a theory, it's hard reality already. This is where, in Star Trek, this and that and that. Well, it's not really Star Trek anymore. It's here. And this full moon just shines a light on it. It's here, it's there. And Venus, the ruler, so very important, right? Also holds quincunx with Mars, Mars in Leo. And that this Mars in Leo still opposes, even if it's an outer sign opposition at the moment of the full moon, Pluto. So, okay, Mars loves being in Leo, powerful, brave, fiery, passion. But with this, that passion can be a deadly obsession. I don't want to really, depict the negative part here, but this Mars can either be a humbled Mars, right? The highest expression of this, when something humbles us. Prayer of serenity, that as well. But this humble is where we do something, but we find power, great power even, in powerlessness, even if this is a bit dichotomous and not easy to understand with the lower Mercury. For this, we need to understand it with the spirit, the spirit's mind, right? So, but the lowest expression is, well, What does not just a wounded, but a ravenous, rabies infected wild animal do? So it's that type of expression when it's nerves of something, someone, or symbolically the Mars are so much on fire that containing it or any trace or hint of responsibility is long gone. However, fortunately, Mars trines the North Node in its home sign of Aries, right? So the ruler of the North Node right now, and Venus squares it, and they quincunx together. So this is some kind of mystic's rectangle. I'm not sure how you call it. Sorry. However, both the North Node is being pointed at. So this means we can very well turn it into the highest expression of this energy, where something greater than us from within our hearts, right? Uh, Leo, head, Aries, and ultimately Capricorn, the spine. So a moment of courage or nobility or divine inspiration gives us the, I'm not even sure how to word this, because it's like an impulse. It's like pushes us onto not just the right direction, but something even better, a shortcut to the right. But this aspect needs a lot of trust and non-aggression, a non-self, going beyond the self. But just Mars trining the North Node is really good. Because besides the war, aggression, and all of that, the cruelty, this also means the hero is there. Heroes are there. The hero energy, the heart, Leo, the love that fuels the heart, the burning in the heart, is able to perform miracles. And Venus's T square to the nodes of the moon is also quite positive and significant in this way, because it means in Capricorn the practicality, the realism, no longer believing same lies, same illusions, same deception. This is even the if reality bites and is hard and it's not so nice, we will not allow ourselves or anyone else to sugarcoat it. We want to see the truth, because that is what we need to work with in a Venusian way. We can only beautify and fix and Venusian, add a lot of niceness to it. Something, if we first accept it, own it, and then start beautifying it, washing it, whatever we need to do. Washing it, Scorpio, right? The cleansing, the purge. So this right off the bat is a very integrate core part of this full moon. And collectively, we can so easily imagine what the shocking factors might be and, all of that. But individually speaking, this can be highly personal in relationships, in one's creativity, one's worth as a professional, one's, how should I say, the way that one compares, I know I'm using the bad word here, but their I don't even this I'm so sorry, but this is so hard to word for me right now, because this flu is really blocking up my neurons as well. But we're how does one place themselves on a value hierarchical ladder in society? But this is why I use the word comparison, because in a way it is comparison, because you have to compare your situation, your status, your anything you will, with the state of others, or what is considered norm in society. And that is pretty complex, Scorpio. So that's why I wanted to use comparison. Even if this is not important to your soul and your soul journey and to your personality, you're still part of the human collective. So moments in life will come when, like it or not, you will need to look at the stark truth of your immersion into society or the lack of it. Many decisions in life can only be based on that hard, cold fact, not on philosophy, not on idealism, not on anything. Especially if you have to make an important move in life, you will also need to look at the social element in your life. How easily can you integrate? What are your common values with most people? What to avoid? What triggers you? And of course, how well can you fit in? And that needs a bit of comparison, like it or not. I'm so sorry. So in this sense, this Venus needs a good dose of awareness. And why? Again, why am I going to the social part and comparing our situations with the larger part of society? Because the Sabian symbol of this full moon is a large, well-kept public park. So on one hand, this is public in a way that it's you, but everyone else as well. It's shared, something like a park. A park belongs to everyone, right? And it's public, and everyone has the right to be there and enjoy it. But at the same time, even if passively, everyone contributes to its upkeep and well-being and all of that. If not in a direct way, then financially with their taxes, and you know what I mean. So this is where, according to the Sabian symbol, of course, it's that part of the self which, like it or not, has to be part of many of the collective values. Let me give you the most simplest example in the United voting. It doesn't matter what you've done or not done or how you voted. You are part of the citizens. That nothing is going to change that. You not wanting to be part of the citizens is not going to change that. If you know what I. Your attitude will not matter when it's something factual. So in this sense, but this can be, of course, any area of life. Because even if it's like 12th house, there is that which you kind of either have or not have common with other people, and that says something. Because 12th house, let me give you the simplest example, someone's sleep pattern. If it's way different than for other people, then you already have a point of comparison where you are different. So all of these are Venusian elements that we need to take into consideration at the time of this full, or better said, it's an autopilot. They will take themselves into consideration. And another element of this Sabian symbol is that it's public. The public garden very many times represents your relationship with the world in a larger sense. How much, for example, Do you love where the world, right, is heading culturally, spiritually, philosophically in the future? That is already a relationship with the world. So this is also going to be very greatly highlighted. Like another example that just came to my mind. You might want to have a very good relation with the world, but if you have a partner who is totally anti, well, on one hand, that will answer certain questions to you why things haven't happened and why you're not getting lucky with certain things. And on the other hand, you chose this partner, so you will need to make compromises. There is a very simple example, but there is so much happening in the sky that adds to this energy. One of them is that the full moon is also conjunct an asteroid, Magdalena, Mary Magdalene. I love this because Taurus is nature, especially plants and the power of vegetation. Mary Magdalene is the patron saint of plant medicine and healing herbs and the medicinal power within nature in any way, shape, and form. She is like a Diana. You know what I mean. Like the goddess Diana or Artemis, or she is, and the fact that she is part of this full moon and Uranus, this leads me to uh suspect that this can be a very powerful healing energy for many people in any way, shape, and form, where the healing comes from where we least expect it from and we couldn't even dream of it. Maybe the healing comes as a massive surprise and shock for people there who thought, well, what I have, regardless if this is physical, soul level, spiritual, whatever wound it is, healing for me is definitely impossible in this incarnation. Surprise, surprise, maybe it isn't. It doesn't matter what type of wound you had. So I love Mary Magdalene being part of this. Her sacredness is like a saving grace. The other thing is that Mercury at the time of this full moon is opposing Jupiter, and these two planets have mutual reception. Mercury is in Jupiter's sign, Jupiter is a Mercury sign, processing, understanding, thinking deep. Okay, maybe this has a bit of inconvenience as well. On one hand, Mercury is gonna go retrograde later on, towards the end of November. So if I'm not mistaken, it's already is in shadow path. But anyway, there is a lot to figure out, but there is tumultuous, or better said, like a deluge, like a massive tsunami of information. So much so that some of it we don't even want to know, but we don't have a choice. So there's that uncomfortable part of the energy as well. Or journeys, travels, Gemini Sagittarian axis that are a must and we really don't feel like it, but a must is a must. But the good part of this energy is, as I said, truly figuring stuff out on the deepest level, but also on the lowest level. Nothing is excluded here. Every side of the rationale is meaningful here. Another energy here is that Mercury also squares Saturn, reality check. Again, this is when we are definitely not being fooled, either by our own inner forces, the inner demon, as they call it, which justifies for us internally things that shouldn't be justified, and it judges that which Shouldn't be anyway, you get what I mean. But of course, this can also be like addiction or whatever is the psychological temptation force, or whatever is the delusion, or whatever the naivety or the self-victimization tendency. That's not working anymore. And collectively speaking, all the stories and the political blah 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 is not working anymore because no one's stupid. That's very, very clear. If we necessarily want to include the sun sextiles Pluto and the moon trines Pluto, but this trine and sextile is not all that exact. But alchemy, the power of, I have to say, truth, the power of truth, the power of realness, the power of an awakened state, the power of non-ignorance can do miracles. And remember, public park, sorry, the Sabian symbol, a part of whatever the truth is, affects every living soul on the planet. Some of the truth is collective truth for everyone, and that we need to own. We need to be masters of, both in a positive way, the rewards, but also the negative way where we need to own up for our species' mistakes. Simply said, no one is 1,000,000% innocent in that sense. But personally speaking, we can do a lot of magic with the power of the truth. All we need to do is be brave, confront it, and not be ashamed, not be broken, not be the victim, but rather the survival. Okay, I'm missing a limb, or I'm missing a piece of my heart, I'm missing a piece of my brain, whatever. But I'm choosing this not to stop me. Whatever I can do, I can still do with the rest of my being. This attitude is what works the best, I do believe. Another aspect is that Mercury trines Chiron, but this just pinpoints to what I said until now about the healing part of this energy. Mary Magdalene and the sensual healing, sexual healing, value healing. Sometimes a good job, son, can be a massive healing force, especially if it's first time in life, or I don't know, a word, a compliment, a gesture, a hug. It can be massively healing, big time. And I left this for the last. Well, the ruler of the full moon, right, Venus, is conjunct dwarf planet Ixion. Now, Ixion is a big troublemaker because, according to legend, it rebelled and totally disrespected Jupiter, Zeus, the king of the gods, right? So it doesn't follow rules. But Ixion's positive expression is when a rule is ridiculous and ludicrous, it is your duty to go against it and rebel against it. Venus in Capricorn and with the full moon stuff, seeing the value, the truth of rules that must be broken, or rules that don't are worth nothing. For example, the UN, right, can say, rule, judge anything at once if that's just a paper, or no one does and no one follows it, no one takes it seriously, it's just words. So this is exactly what we see under this energy. Ixion, if whatever takes place in international agreement and courts of justice is really nothing, well, then the organization itself is nothing. Then why are we wasting our times? So Ixion conjunct Venus is gonna reveal in a certain way that which is simply totally powerless as a judicial force, or Capricorn, top-down authority, that which is really not authority at all. And it will reveal Ixion, that which is authority and shouldn't be. That which really pulls the strings and the puppet master. So it's gonna be interesting because the puppet masters, for maybe for the first time, are gonna be revealed for what and who and how they truly are. And also, individually speaking, whatever pulls our strings on the sometimes background in the realm of the shadow is also gonna be revealed. That feeling which is so disguised we don't have a clue. The envy, the jealousy, or the hurt, or some feeling that we never ever saw as such ever in our lives. Maybe it is for the first time we see it either in someone else or in ourselves. Because you would be shocked. Sometimes envy comes from siblings, and you would not even dare to suspect that or think that or believe that in a million years, and there it is. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at this. Thank you everyone for listening, and so sorry about my coughing and the disaster with my recording, but this flu is so weird. So thank you everyone. Until next time, bye for now.